we started doing music together, and then you started doing video before I did. How was it
Yeah.
that you? I don't remember how you started doing the video though. Like it was out of nowhere. Like you had got a Canon something, and then you did pictures, and then you started doing video. How the heck did that happen?
Well, it was actually the need, man. I think necessity is always like the mother of innovation, you know, or reinventing yourself. So
Mm-hmm.
basically, we were doing the music thing, and because we were doing the music thing, you know how covers are so important, how photography is so important, and how videos are so important. So I remember I was going to pay for a cover art to be made.
Mm-hmm.
And when the guy told me that the cover art was going to cost me like $300, $400, you know, I was like, man, a T2i only costs 500, and I'm
And
gonna
gift is
have,
free.
you know what I'm saying, and GIMP is free. So so it was like, yo, I might as well just go ahead and learn this thing, you know,
Right.
like, because I'm
But
not
you
gonna
got
be.
good fast, man. Like, how was it? You know, so you were on the YouTube. You were on like you were doing a lot of things I'm doing today. You were doing this like I want to say feel like 10 years ago. It's been like a long time
Yeah,
now thinking about it for real. And
yeah,
you were like self-motivated. Like who were you looking up in the beginning? Because now there's names that everybody knows like Peter McKinnon and Parker Wahlbeck. There's a couple guys doing it, right? Like back then, who were you looking at?
man, I remember looking at some Indian dudes,
Yeah.
like like Photoshop, you know. I can't really remember the names, but I would just go on YouTube. I would read a lot as well. I used to hate to read, man. Like
Mm,
I couldn't read at all. Like I just, to me, it was boring, you know. But once I found so much information through reading, I just got hooked on it, you know,
right.
because it was just showing me different ways of doing things. I started to learn the business. I started to learn, um, you know, lighting, photography, a whole bunch of stuff.
Hmm.
Um, and then just looking up by articles online as well, because there's a whole
Yeah.
bunch of videos. But when it comes to like the business side of it, it's more reading. You know,
Yeah.
it's more getting into the nitty gritty. You know, books and like Amazon when it came to music, everything you should know about the music business, about that book, you know. And one thing just led to another, man, you know. But I feel like it was the need, man, not having the resources,
Hmm.
led me to actually not having the resources and wanting to offer a product that I could be proud of,
Yeah.
you know. And at first, I would get excited, you know, with some of the stuff I did, and I look back now and I'm like, yo, that was terrible. But but I think that's part of the growth. That's part of what you do. You get excited once you get to do something or replicate something.
Yeah.
And even though you didn't do it that great, but you
Mm,
need to understand that we're not working with the same tools that these big name people are working. Even now, I mean, 10 years ago, there was no way you could find a cinema camera at the
right.
prices that you could find them now. You
Right.
know, with the dynamic range, with everything else that you could just find today in today's day. So back then, I think there was a huge gap when it comes to the tools.
Right.
Even a nice working computer, bro. I used to wait like a full blown 24, 48 hours to render
Oh wow.
a logo because I had a HP. I had a HP, you know?
Man.
So in order to render like a logo or an animation or something, I used to wait like 24, 48 hours, bro. Just the computer, you know, with all the with everything turned on, all the fans, you know, sometimes there was a mistake, a glitch, sometimes it was just shut down. It was
Oh
like,
no.
but now, you know, you get affordable computers that are
Hmm.
more powerful that could do more. And I think, yeah, man, it was the need, bro. It was all the need.
And software got way more optimized too. It's funny, like especially because you're on the Windows now. But remember, I mean, the thing I always applaud Mac about with Final Cut is that thing could run on. They joke around and say a potato. It runs on just the weakest machines ever. They optimize it like crazy. Um,
Yeah,
there's Premiere and stuff in DaVinci that need a little bit more horsepower, but still, it's still they optimize it better with the machines and stuff. And it's funny because it's almost like rap is the path to end up doing videography at some point because everybody starts doing music, and it's that I get the same that fulfillment, that pride, that joy of creating a video that I do the same way I feel when I create a song. Like I like being able to create something that started in my heart and in my head and see it or hear it. And I enjoy it like crazy. So you started doing the videos for yourself, and then when did you start doing videos for other people? Like how did that happen?
Well, I think once people saw what I was doing, and also at the price point that I was doing it, because
Mm-hmm.
we had no budget, it was just whatever we could get, who could lend us a house, who could lend us a car, who could lend us
Mm-hmm.
this or that, location wise, and I think that once people saw what we can do, or how I grew in photography and videography, people started to get interested in knowing, hey, do you do videos for other people? Do you do this? Do you do that? And I was at a point where I didn't even feel comfortable charging people
Why?
because I felt like I wasn't at the. I've like I've always I'm the type of person, man, that I feel like there's a standard with everything.
Okay.
There's like a standard with everything. So I always felt like, man, I can't charge yet because I don't feel like I'm in the standard, even though the people that were hiring me weren't in the standard either. But it was sometimes I think it was just a self pride maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's not a bad thing. I'm really prideful when it comes to my work and what I do. I want to give it 100%. I go extra and beyond. Um, and that was a huge mistake I made back then. That I used to work on projects for people, and I would sacrifice time, away from my family, sacrifice time away from my own projects, sacrifice time away from so many other things just to give it 110% for
Mm-hmm.
things that sometimes people didn't even appreciate at the end of the day. And the crazy thing is, Tony, when they used to have the money to pay somebody, they didn't come back to me.
Mm.
That was the crazy thing about it.
You're not the only person that's told me that too. I spoke to Josh recently, and I got a relationship with him from the music side of things, and he would tell me that too. It's like it's weird when you sow your time into a person for some reason. Yeah, when they have the budget, I don't know what that is. I don't know. I don't have an answer for that, but I know what you're talking about. I've seen it, you've seen it, and other people have mentioned the same thing. I don't get it. I don't know where that comes from. It's almost like in the creative side. I was talking to my business partner Matt today about this part. On the creative side of things, people don't have a concept of real value. Since I'm not selling you, since I'm not doing plumbing in your house, since I'm not making a roof, or I'm not working on your car, they feel like, oh, this is just you shooting the camera. That should be free, right? That's nothing. What's the point of paying you? We've had people say, oh, send, if we're at a video shoot, we'll have other people at the shoot say, send me the footage when you're done. It's like, bro, it's not your footage. Like it's for this client, and I can't send it to you. There's value in the footage that I shot. So it's weird. I don't know why that is. That there's like no real concept for the value of the arts. I always say people think since it's fun that you also have fun just giving it away. And it's like I'm at a stage now where it's become a business, and just because I enjoy my business now, I shouldn't be penalized for that. Like it doesn't make sense to me. So
I
when
think, I think it's part of a culture as well, and I think how we sell ourselves, because at the end
okay,
of the
yeah,
day, if it's consumed, then there's a product.
mm-hmm,
And sometimes when we don't give it the value that it deserves, then people won't do the same. If we don't do it for ourselves, then they won't do the same. I read this article, man, the other day about I believe it was JC Penney, and how they lost a whole bunch of stores. And the reason why the reason why they lost a whole bunch of stores was because they were changing their marketing, and they were trying to be transparent with the clients. This is the crazy thing. And I
mm,
think I think this is where that blew my mind. So they wanted to be transparent with the clients and tell the clients that everything that was on retail has a price which is made, and we all know this. They're made by
mm-hmm.
this amount of money. Then they go to the stores, and then they add a
The
price on top
markup.
of that, the markup. Okay, so they were talking about how they wanted to be transparent with the consumers, with the people that go to JC Penney. So they told basically people, hey, all these markups that you see, that's not even the real price. This is a
Mm-hmm.
lie. The whole retail thing is a lie when it comes to like 70% off, 50% off, 30%
Yeah.
off. It's all a lie. Like they're still gonna get their margin of money back that they
Mm-hmm.
want, even with those 70, 60% off, because they mark up the prices so high that they always win.
Right.
So they took that off, and they placed all the prices of their stores at a decent amount. But because people did not see the red tags, because people did not see the percentage off, because
Mm,
people did not see any of that, they thought there was no bargain in that store. They
mm,
thought J.C. Penney didn't have no more bargains.
right.
So their sales went down so much that they had to start closing stores.
Mm.
Or
So
because
that
they wanted to be transparent with people.
it's managing the perception, right? And it speaks a lot to like how consumers we're fickle. Like we chase different trends and yeah, like the marketing of it's like, yeah, because you told me it's 50% off, but even if it's the same prices it will be at Target, I'm gonna go to where you said it's 50% off because it's just cheaper. It's
Yeah.
funny. My wife, I'm gonna throw her under the bus a little bit. Is the type of person that might see something like, yo, this is on sale. We got to get it because it's on sale. It's like, yo, you don't know what that normally would cost anyway. You just because it's on sale, though, I have to buy it, and I have to buy it right now because they're gonna run out. And when I come back, it's not gonna be on sale no more. So it's genius marketing. How did you I think everybody makes this mistake. I don't want to assume for you, but I kind of do assume when you started, you priced yourself very very low, right?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
compared to
I
today,
did.
right? So we started, and I laugh because when we started, we were doing entire videos for as much as we could, 110%, give it everything. 4 hour shoot, 20 hours of editing. We were like $150, and we still felt like you think they're gonna do. And then when we bumped it up to 300, we were like, you think? And then it was like 500. We was like, still we think. And I found, as your business grows, and you start to, especially as a married person with kids, you start to really get a better understanding of your time and how precious that is. And once you get past the I love doing this and the honeymoon phase of how fun it is and it turns into a business, you start to realize, at least I started to realize, that your price is going to reflect the type of client you're going after. So
Exactly.
it's not that I don't want to work with people with smaller budgets, and it's not that I'm trying to charge somebody a higher budget just because I want to work with other people that are they get rich or something like that. But there's a certain expectation when you start charging, $4,000-$5,000 for a project versus if you're just doing it for 300. A lot of times, unfortunately, people at that budget level treat it like a throwaway. They treat it like it only costing me 300, so it's not that important. So I'm going to show up late to the shoot. I'm not going to provide the things that they need to do their work. Um, I find that stuff it makes it really unprofessional. Is that what you ended up finding too?
Yeah. I mean, I learned also that people um like projection, like we talked about projection, and I think that if we don't get the higher budget, or if because I'm okay with working something for free.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody is providing everything I need in order to target certain clientele or to target certain people with certain budget. Like I've done spec commercials, for coffee shops or X, Y, and Z, just because they were going to provide everything. It did cost them money because they had to get me actors, they had to get me, the space, they had to give me everything I needed in order to make it. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
okay with having that product and showcasing because I'm reaching the clientele that I want to. The problem is with people that have a smaller budget is that, like I said, they only see the small budget stuff you do. And if you don't have anything big budget to show for, they feel like you don't know how to do that.
Mm.
So they go with somebody when they do get the budget. Let's say you're like, oh, this is the $150 video guy. But if I want $1,000 video guy, I gotta go with him because that's the guy
Yeah.
that's the guy that's showing the nice locations, the studios, the nice lighting. But you will never get to that point if you're not charging what you're supposed to. And you need to also have the material to showcase those things. So it's okay to sacrifice, but you need to actually know where you're going to sacrifice. This is somebody that's going to provide everything for you. This is somebody that's going to rent the studio, that's going to get you the models, they're going to get you the cars, that's going to get you the type of environment and atmosphere that you can exploit and put out a product that could reach another type of client. If
That's
if
that's
that's the
that's a
case,
great point.
yeah, if that's the case, I'll do it for free because I know the doors and the avenues that's going to open for me. But if I only work with smaller budget people, then all I can showcase is small budget work. And when you
That's
have,
that's major because what you're saying is not to repeat exactly what you just said, but I see it from the other side too. Is when you go in as the $150 video guy and it's time to do the $1,000 one, even if as the $150 video guy, I know that my video is the same or better than that $1,000 guy. A lot of consumers just assume theirs is better because they're charging more. Forget that people's eyes lie
exactly,
to them all the time. We know it as camera nerds with how many videos they do on. Tell me if this was on an iPhone or this was on a Red. People go after the names, they go after the price tag, and you know what? Gucci's better because it costs $3,000 for that shirt versus the Walmart $5 shirt. Forget the fabric, forget your day to day using it. They just see a higher price tag. So on the other side of things, it's true. What are you offering people to kind of justify your price? Because this is something that I'm still learning, and I got a better idea how we go to the market and what we tell people. Okay, you need video for XYZ. But what are you telling people they need video for? Because you're not doing just music videos, you're doing some marketing stuff too. Like, so when you sit down with a person, you say you need a video for what? Like, what are the things you're telling them?
well, when it comes to the way I pitch my my work, I try to tell people that one video is not going to do it for you. And I what I basically try to do is I need to get a feel of what you want and what you want it for. And with my experience, I could tell you, hey, what you want and what you want it for. And sometimes I shoot myself in the foot because I could get that one job, but
Mm-hmm.
I have to be honest with my clients and be like, that one job is not going to get you there. I think it's better if you take this budget, break it down, and do smaller videos for reels, or just depending on the need that they may have. So I think that what I try to sell my clients is more transparency and the experience that I have when it comes to marketing, because that's a beautiful thing about doing music. When you do music, you have to learn how to manage yourself in social media. You need to learn how to push your videos. You need to learn how to make reels. You need to learn how to do all these things. And all of that applies to how things are marketed and promoted nowadays,
Right.
through the internet. So I always try to see the goal that the client has. We're in Virginia, and the reality is that major companies, they outsource when it comes to video. So most of the clients that we will get, or that I get, are smaller businesses or people that are starting off. I do get some clients that have been in it for years, but they have an old way of working things.
Hmm.
So at the end of the day, I just try to educate them and tell them, hey, this is how things are done now. This is what we need. And what I do is I try to get contracts in the long term.
Yeah.
I try to get contracts more for long term. Okay, this is the need you have. Why don't we just do something for 3 months, 6 months, instead of just working on one video? Because I'm trying to give them a result.
Right.
And the beautiful thing is that once they see the result, they're gonna know it's worth it, or they're like, yo, this is worth it, and I
That's why I started realizing, because in the very beginning, when we were doing videos as cheap as possible, we thought we were going to tell people, okay, we're going to show up with a 4K camera. How impressive is a 4K camera? And we're going to do it as fast as we can. And I promise you the video is going to look gorgeous. Like that was the way we were trying to come to the market.
yeah,
And then we realized kind of in the last couple years doing this more professionally, we realized that's not enough and people don't care. People don't know what they're looking at in terms of they can't tell you if it's 4K or 1080. Most people can't. They have no clue. They don't care. Um, some of them get impressed when you start bringing lights and stuff like that, and like, oh man, I'm getting the big budget experience. They don't know how much those lights cost or what they're really doing. Um, but what I started realizing is, like you mentioned, having a better plan, and we stopped focusing so much on the quality of the video and telling people how great the video is going to look, and start having a conversation about, well, here's what the video could potentially do for you.
yeah,
But even more recently, we started having a conversation that you mentioned that you kind of been up on for a while longer than us, in terms of knowing, start explaining the fact that it's not one video, one and done, because we started seeing that learning bumping our heads as far as people getting a video and then in their brain saying, well, video doesn't work because I didn't get a million views off of that one video. They told
exactly,
me the quality was so amazing. They told me they were going to make me the best video ever. And after paying all of that, I got 20 likes and that's it. So we started explaining to people, first of all, identifying, are you going to market on social media? Is that really your channel? Your main source of marketing is going to be social media. If it is, you need to be active. And I
Mhm.
started having the conversation about talking ourselves out of business to gain new business, telling people you need to be doing stuff on your phone. Do not call us for every single video project. You need to be
Exactly.
walking around doing reels, doing selfie videos, doing quick vlog posts, and then call us for the what we call like the flagship content, like your cornerstone content. Like if you need something to live on your website, or you need something to stay on your Facebook pinned or something like that, or you got a real big event and you need that bigger production value, that's where we come in. But to go do a quick update on, hey, here I am and we got a sale on such and such, you need to be doing that yourself. And I found that a lot of times there's like a sense of pride there where it is what it is. I feel like people sometimes might feel like they're too cool to get their phone and do it like that. Like, nah, I want the cameras out here. I want all that stuff. It's like, recognize the stage of business you're in, and work within your means, and start bringing people in little by little, because we've upgraded cameras and nobody cares. Nobody cares. We honestly upgraded cameras for our own workflow. That was the only reason we did it. It was like we want a certain amount of quality. We want to be able to do certain things in post that we can't do on the particular cameras we had at the time. So let's move up. But it was never motivated by, yo, let's go get the 6K camera because now we're going to get bigger clients. At least in our experience, that's not how it's been. We haven't found clients that really care about what camera we're using, or even ask what camera that is.
I was talking to a client the other day, and I think this is one of the biggest thing also that you may find yourself into when it comes to talking to clients, and is what you said. They don't know jack about like cinematography, how it works.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they show you something and they're like, yo, I want this. I want something like this, and they don't know all the work that is put into it. They don't know the lighting setup, the lighting schemes, sometimes they even want you to go to a spot where if you bring, all this equipment, you're probably gonna need a permit,
Mm-hmm.
but they're like, oh, can we just take the camera and shoot it like this or shoot it like that? The thing with that is I've also found, man, that with some clients you can't spend the time to try to educate them, because you're just gonna like waste your time. And the other thing is, you have also businesses that are going to grow. And I also found myself partnering up with people, or partnering up with businesses that I know have the potential to grow, and all they need is the content.
Right.
So I did that, and that opened up jobs for bigger and better things, and also eventually the company grew. Or, for example, Mariel, my art, the artist that I manage,
Mm-hmm.
I started working with him with no budget, with nothing, and now I get a percentage of his music and everything shows, all that stuff, on something that I invested back in the day, that now is giving fruits. So you also have to find businesses that they're going to grow, because one of the things that I found as well with big businesses is that they already have been working with companies for years.
Mm-hmm.
And unless that company is unavailable, they're not going to hire you.
Right.
Like even when they post, because sometimes they have to politically, they have to like put out the job on certain sites or whatever, but they already have the person they want to do that. They're just going off with trying to be good with the law and being good with that type of thing. But that's what I found. And then they make it hard for you to actually get those type of jobs, because they ask for, okay, you need to have 5 years of commercial experience.
Mm-hmm.
You need to have this amount of clients, so that we need to see their content. We need to see the stuff you've done for them.
Right.
And it's high profile people like they are. So it's like there's no way you're gonna have any of that if you don't get the opportunity of doing it. So one of the workaround I found with those things is actually partnering up also with people that have done it. Because you have DPs, you have directors, or you have other people that have been working in commercial stuff for years, and you can always outsource. Because all they're asking for is somebody in your team that has the experience. They never said it had to be you.
Okay. Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
That's true.
So I've gotten some big jobs, bringing people in that have the actual prerequisites,
Mm-hmm.
putting them on paper, getting the budget, paying them, and getting my cut.
Right.
So
Now,
yeah,
that makes perfect sense. It's we had experience with that with government contracting side of things, and we ended up being like the subcontractor, but we got experience to that world where it's like, yeah, there's actual businesses built on chasing a contract and then figuring out how they're gonna fulfill that contract later. It's like just go win the contract and then we'll go find guys that can do it. It doesn't matter. So I get that 100%, and I always come from the spot when I'm telling people like when I tell them to be mindful of their budgets and be mindful of doing stuff on their own, it's because I always see it through my own lens of I don't consider myself the smartest person in the room or the most talented, and I figured something out, right? Like I figured something that's been working for me. So I'm always trying to motivate other people. Say, yo, do it yourself. Like don't complain into anyone else's situation and want them to help out of pity or out of whatever, or doing it for the exposure. Do it yourself because I did it, and I got a lot of people around me that did it also. And I'm not that person. It doesn't even feel right for me to do something that I know somebody can do themselves. It's like why am I going to charge you for that? Like that right there. You grab your phone, you do it, and you'll be fine. So I don't have those though that particular issue with telling people and motivating them. Like I said, I talk myself out of work all the time, and it's no problem. And in the long run, it's like you said, you start working with people and do that sweat equity, and it rolls into bigger contracts and bigger organizations and bigger causes. And that's something recently we joined the Hampton Roads Chamber of Commerce, and then we joined the local the Black Chamber of Commerce called Black Brand, and just to
nice.
network and reach out to people and tell them we're here whenever you need us and be more visible, because
Yeah,
that's something that I learned in like the last year or two. It's like, well, I think the days of cold calling and telling people, hey, my name is so and so and I'm with so and so and here's what I can do for you, I think that's pretty much over. Like especially since now on the internet, your portfolio, you can just show it and you live your portfolio and you're showing your work and you're constantly, you're showing the evolution and the progress of your business. So people that are looking for video, if you got your website correct and if you're doing your social media correctly, they'll find you. You just got to make sure when they do go to your pages, the best type of content is being shown there so that you can
yeah,
go into those bigger clients. So that's really how we've been handling it. I can't think of like, the next things for us. Like I said, I want to do more community involvement. I'm not against doing free work as long as the project makes sense and it doesn't hurt any of the other projects and the partners we're working with.
yeah,
But again, as a father, as a business owner, working the hours that we work, it's not that I'm looking for as many free jobs as I'm looking for. And this year I made it very intentional to go back to my talent and my gift as far as music, because I woke up in the last few months. I forgot what it was. It might have been a Facebook memory or something. And it was like 12 years ago, you put out your album. And I was like, I've been sitting on this for 12 years. Like, this
yeah,
isn't a year. This isn't last month. This is like 12 years. I didn't do anything as far as publicly, because I still got,
yeah.
it's funny. I never stopped writing. I always write. Um, so I feel like the skill has grown. I just didn't have the interest in putting out music. And I don't remember you taking much of a break. I mean, maybe you don't put out albums, but you keep doing music.
Yeah, I keep putting out singles. The only break I took was I did go like a year without putting out any music constantly. I
Yeah,
did
yeah.
put out stuff here and there, and then last year I went like 6 months where I hit this point where I was like, man, I don't know if this is worth it anymore. You
Why?
know,
What
I
do you
felt
mean?
like um, I felt like I was just overwhelmed. You know, with work, with the family, with managing an artist, with dealing with people when it comes to like shows and dealing with people when it comes to like just all the nonsense that comes with invitations, with just the market that we're in. You know,
Mm,
how people may not have the same view as you do, or how people may think that you shouldn't charge for a show, or a whole bunch of stuff. It was just overwhelming. I'm like, I don't even know if I want to do this and uh, and continue to do music myself. And I remember I was at this show And at the show, they wanted Madiel to be a speaker the next day. They had like this convention going on with the youth and stuff, and they wanted
Mm-hmm.
Madiel to speak the next day. And they had hit me up a week before to tell me, "Yo, we want Madiel to speak after the show. The next day, you guys don't leave until it was Sunday night. We got there Friday. Friday was the show, and then Saturday we were supposed to have a free day, do media tour and stuff like that. But they decided they wanted us to be they wanted Maria to be a guest speaker. And my passion is actually developing people. My passion is I like to develop people, man. That's like my passion.
Okay. Yeah.
So Madia was like, bro, I'm not trying to speak to nobody. Like, I'm not trying to like be a speaker or anything like that. He's like, no, I don't want to do it. Tell them if they want that you'll do it. All right. So I went ahead and when the people called back, oh, what did Madia say about the being a speaker, that and I'm like, yo, he said he doesn't feel prepared. He's not ready to do it. But he did tell me that I am available. I've worked with youth before. I've been a speaker before.
Right.
I even have some material that I could dig up and bring to your youth.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm Madia's manager. I do road trips with him. I'm basically the person mentoring him as well when it comes to like just everything we do.
Okay.
So even with the business side and everything, like I've handled everything. They didn't want it, bro. Even though I was more what is it, capacitated?
Yeah.
Even though I had tenía más capacidad, I had I could basically do it.
You're better prepared for it.
Yeah, better prepared for it. They didn't want me because all they wanted was the name. All they wanted was the let's put it this way, the star.
Right.
So they weren't really looking for, and that was something that really hurt me because I'm like, yo, are these people just looking for names and popularity, or are they looking to actually feed their people? Actually feed them,
So yeah, and this is the topic that I never even thought about touching here, but it's interesting that you touch on that topic. And I'm gonna ask the question. I feel like there's been a conflict in terms of, so we're talking about in church, where there's a separation between, can a Christian person be an entertainer? I feel like there's kind of there's been historically a conflict amongst Christians in church who have a tough time differentiating, accepting, defining what it is to be a Christian artist, if you should be a minister. And you touched on the subject of they want you to do it for free. So I could speak for me and a little bit for you, but I'll speak for me. Growing up, there was a concept of when you're doing something for God, which as a Christian, the driving force of all we do should be first to honor God. That should be at the forefront. I need to honor God. I need to remember my testimony. I need to move with integrity. I talk about that all the time. There's a lot of things, it's like in business, that I tell people, you have no idea who you're working with. I would never take a dime from you. We keep timesheets of everything we do. If I say it took an hour, it took an hour. And I stake my life on that. Like, I'm dead serious with being honest and being a person of integrity. So everything we do, even if I'm not putting Jesus right in your face, I'm hoping that the way I move reflects that. I'm hoping that people understand he must be Christian because of the way he acts, right?
Yeah.
So internally, inside, our groups and our church family, I get it. There is a lot of times the expectation of that you are maybe charging God, which would be the way that a lot of people would see things, right? Like, why you're going to charge God for the gift he gave you? I'll say I find that weird when that same logic isn't applied to every single other ministry in the church. So certain ministries can charge God, quote unquote, but others can't. I wish that was figured out. And I don't dive too much into it because the reality is this is going to vary from church to church. It's not necessarily a global problem. People handle it different ways, right? But what I was going to say is I think the more complicated thing is this. Technology has made the ability for regular people, quote unquote, to be able to achieve higher level of production value. The music sounds way better than it ever sounded. And I feel like back in the day, Holiness was kind of equated with something that sounded low budget, sounded like, whatever. And as soon as you started sounding like the secular artist, as soon as you started making that big sound and the highly produced music, it's almost like now you're trying to be like everybody else. You're losing who you were. And I've taken it from the point of excellence, right? It's God at the forefront, excellence. I
Yeah.
want this to sound better than everybody else's. Um, so the part I want to ask you is because I myself struggle with this when I look at other people, and I don't voice it too often or whatever. Is there an ability for a Christian to be a celebrity and still be Christian? Is that possible?
I think that once I think is as a very good question, and I think the answer is you can always be a celebrity in the definition of being one, but
Hmm.
when you believe you're it, I think that's the problem.
That makes sense.
You see what
That
I'm
makes
saying?
sense.
Because
That
Jesus
makes sense.
Jesus was a celebrity because of who he was, what he did, how many people he reached, how the word spread about him. He became a celebrity, but he himself did not see himself as one. And I think that's the biggest problem.
I get it. Yeah,
You
it starts in the
know,
heart. It does. And it's hard, man. The society we're living in is so visual. Everything is look at me, look at me. Um, and it's hard to navigate. It's hard because ideally you think, okay, just if I'm doing music for God, um, I wanted to reach the most people because that's what I want to do. When people preach, they preach and they wanted to reach the most people. Why not the music as well? Um,
yeah.
I guess I don't know if it is or it isn't a slippery slope when you start getting a certain level of attention and
The
certain number
problem,
of people start being your fans and asking for your autograph and stuff like that, and how
and I think
everybody else
that's the
perceives that.
problem. I think the problem is the how we have failed to educate and disciple. I
Okay.
think that's the biggest problem because if if the church was really educated and discipled like they're supposed to, and that would be like the main goal of the church to actually develop and prepare the people that go to it instead of being consumers. That right there is the issue. The issue is that people are trained to be consumers,
Hmm.
and it's not a matter of you're being discipled. You are being discipled. There's no I'm not being discipled. You're either being discipled by the world, you're either being discipled by the environment that's around you. You're being discipled regardless.
Right.
So most of the time, the general consensus of society nowadays is that we're consumers,
Hmm.
and a lot of people go to church to consume. How many people are actually involved in church, like really involved, you
Right.
know? And if you're not really involved in church, then you're just consuming it. So it's the same thing with music. When you have that consumer mentality, then that's what you're going to become. You're going to become a consumer. You're going to see your artist as a brand that you consume. Oh, I like his
Right.
style. I like how he sing. I like his flow. I like his swag. I like this. I like that. When you see him, you also want a picture with him.
Hmm.
Which I think So I think the biggest issue is that I remember in this movie, I forgot what it was, but it was one of those old school movies about this Roman emperor, something like that. And he said that when he used to go outside, people would praise him,
Hmm.
throw flowers and praise him and stuff. And he had a servant, and he had his servant tell him on the ear, "You're only a man. You're only a man,"
That
because
sounds real familiar. Yeah.
yeah, because we as human beings, we get all this attention, we get all this praise, we get all this stuff, and we might even forget who we are.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I tell people, specifically in music, in any ministry that has to do with music, I tell them, remember historically, the Bible is split up into two different ways, right? There's an Old Testament that's for historical value. There's a New Testament for the present and for things that are going to come. But understand the context of the Bible, how it's written. In the Old
Mm-hmm.
Testament, there are stories about a being that was named Lucifer at some point. And if you look at his purpose in heaven before we were created, his purpose was in the arts, in music. He was music. His body had instruments. He led worship. He led praise. And I tell people the difference between us and him is he let it get to his head, and God said, "Get out of here with that. You are not God. Get out of here. There's no place for you." So I tell people,
Hmm.
involved in music, be very careful, because I think that you are a very clear target for this being that does not like the fact that you don't need him anymore to worship God. You don't need him to lead the worship like there was once a time where he would come out and direct the worship and he would lead you to the presence of God. That's gone now. And especially for a human being, that we're not in heaven, we're not created, perfect like they were. Like we now have access to something that he used to kind of be the gatekeeper of. So we are,
Yeah.
as musicians, as artists, as worshipers, however you want to phrase it, we are an immediate target. And yeah, you see it go to a lot of people's heads, and it's hard circling it back to just, to business, because not just ministry, but even, whatever gift you have. If you're a carpenter, if you're a plumber, a lot of times when we work within the body, it's perceived like you're charging God. And it's like, no, I'm allowed to do business. I'm allowed to seek a living. And just because I might have been given the gift of music and that became lucrative enough to live from that day to day, I shouldn't be looked down on. I shouldn't be seen as a negative. Like, if, oh, how could he be using his gift to make a living? But how else would you
Yeah.
want me to make a living? Just because I found a way to make a living using my passion and my gift, and I'm not making a living doing the things that I don't like. I shouldn't be looked negatively at those things. So that's something I
Yeah.
wish was figured out and understood better. But you're right. I think the bigger issue is on the side of the consumer versus the side of the producer, the side of the creative person. The creative is one
Yeah.
person that should not be responsible or have to answer for the actions of potentially thousands of people that are idolizing a person. That's
And that's one of that's the main reason why I came back to music. Like after those 6 months and the story I was telling you about, and once I saw those people, or once I saw that they didn't really want me to actually speak, even though I was probably going to bring them something that would change their youth, or just with the experience alone that I've had with life itself, with growing up and everything, my testimony, all that stuff. I know how impactful that could be in the hands of God, but even in a practical sense, I know how impactful it could be. So I was like, you know what? I went and told myself, what am I gonna do? Am I gonna cry about it? Am I gonna say the whole system is corrupt, or the whole system has failed, or what am I going to do? And that's when I, through meditation and prayer, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna play the cards that have been dealt to me. If this is what they want in order to in order for me to have in order for them to feel like I can have a platform to speak, then okay, I'm like, bring it on. I'm going to go
Hmm.
ahead and continue to do music. I'm going to continue to grow my platforms for the sole purpose of speaking out. But
Right.
speaking out was right. Speaking out was right. Speaking out was truth. And I think that even in the business sense, man, when it comes to video, when it comes to everything we do, we need to understand the market we're in. We need to understand um, the hand that has been dealt, and how we can get to actually change or make a dent or find a solution in the problem. But we're not going to get it by isolating ourselves, which is most of the time the first instinct that we have. Isolate ourselves. This ain't working. People are not really, this or that. You get angry, but at the end of the day, what are we doing to change the culture? What are we doing to change the culture?
Right. I'm thinking it's almost like we've been given the gift not of music, we've been given the gift of being heard. And we do that with music, we do that with our video production, photography, our artistic work that we do. We've been given the gift to be heard, and we've been given the gift for others to be heard. And I think it's important as Christians for us to pray for wisdom, so that when we are heard, we know how to manage that, and we know how to help other people manage that as well. Um, because it's not enough to go get a million views. First of all, I always joke and say you're not getting paid off of it anyway. There's plenty of guys that get a million views, and okay, so what if you get, let's say you get a $10,000 check from YouTube? That'll cover you for
You
a
ain't
couple
get,
months,
you
and
ain't
that's it. What are
no,
you
you
doing?
ain't getting no, you ain't getting no 10,000 for a
Yeah,
million
not,
views.
and that's what I'm saying. Like, exaggerating on the high side, let's
Yeah,
pretend,
yeah,
and
yeah,
it's
yeah,
still
yeah,
not enough. It's still those
yeah,
opportunities don't exist that way, and even if they did, it's not enough. So what a lot of times people are chasing is it's just good enough to get X amount of likes. It's good enough to get an X amount of followers. But part of that comes in maturity. See, I'm at a stage, and I believe you're at the same stage where it's like that stuff is meaningless to me. That it doesn't matter. 5 million views or 5 views. I still have a mortgage to pay. I still got kids to feed, and those things don't ever change any of those stuff. What
Yeah.
does change it has been the business growing, and unfortunately, the music business has changed like crazy. There's still opportunity there, but it's changed. You have to treat it much differently. I feel like now you have to flood the market way more than you used to. The attention span is so
Oh yeah.
short. That's part of the reason why I'm happy I took the long break that I did, because now when I'm working back into it, I'm working in a way where I'm gonna be prepared to come with some frequency and not just okay, one album and then 4 years later I'll see you again, because that's not effective at all. It might have been
No.
effective a long time ago to do one album a year. That was kind of like the pace everybody worked at. One album a year,
Yeah.
one album every 2 years. Sometimes if you were big, if you were Nas or Jay Z, you can come every
Yeah.
other year with an album. Now it's like I feel, and you tell me if you feel different, but I feel like you have to have an album every 4 months. You have to have something new. Like it can't even be once a
We
year. It can't be twice a year. You have to have like
yeah,
every
man.
quarter drop something significant.
We released an album, Madiel, which he has great numbers, and we released his album in November. All
Mhm.
right, and we're about to release the deluxe next month. You know, and we are seeing even we should have released the deluxe frigging this month because we have
Okay.
seen in 2 months. In 2 months, I mean, we are seeing the numbers coming down now.
Yeah,
And the
I
graph
believe it.
should be like this. The graph should be like this. That's how the graph should be always.
Right, right,
And it's like you can see now it's curving.
right.
We dropped the album, whoop, and now it's like curving. And we're like, okay, it's time to release the deluxe. But even then, you know, he's working on some other singles, working on another album, and it's crazy how you have to continuously put out content nowadays because of and that's the other thing, man. How much as an artist you want to invest so much in your project. Like I have my EP coming out. It's gonna be named The Son of the Drunkard. It's gonna be like my first project, you know, like um and bro, I have like this big idea and I have all this stuff and I want to put in so much into it. And now I have decided to not even do all that and
Mm.
actually break it down in different stages because of how people consume things nowadays. Because I might put in the effort, might put in the money, might put in everything so it could be like how I want it to, and it's only gonna last a month and a half,
Yeah, yeah,
you know. And now I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna take this small steps. I'm still gonna put out a good product, but I'm gonna pace myself. Before you used to put everything you had on that one album, you
yeah.
know, and then you would go, you know, like you said, a year, and then you another big budget, another big idea, another big concept. You put it out for that other album, and you just kept releasing music videos and stuff throughout the year from the album that you dropped. Nowadays, it's like, bro, even if you release music videos from the album, the numbers are not the same as if you release a single every month.
And this is across even some of the bigger guys that we know of and we see online. It's like they're living the same type of life. They're living the same reality. It's even the biggest budgets, the biggest projects that get the most attention is not lasting for a full year. It's very rare um, for that to be the situation for anybody going into it. So it's hard. Like me myself, what you said about scaling your idea for the EP back is something that I've had to deal with a whole bunch of times because I'm like, yeah, I could reach out to a lot of people and get something really special done. But then I start thinking like what you said. It's like it would suck to reach out to all these guys and do all the legwork and the sweat equity to do it, and it's like 50 views or it doesn't really have an impact. So I'm fine with doing that on my own, which is what I'm doing now. Like I'm fine with just investing my own time. And if it doesn't do well, then it doesn't do well. As far as statistically and numbers wise, I don't care. I love doing it and it's fun. But when I'm bringing other
Yeah,
people in, I start to really care about that. It's like, I want everybody else's time to pay off. I want them to get the attention for their hard work too. And for it to be something they could put in their portfolio and roll into bigger jobs. And that's why I'm like reluctant a lot of times to bring people into what I'm doing now. Cause the reality is I still don't have the budget to pay somebody what I would want to pay somebody. You know, I
Yeah,
got people that
yeah,
say, "Oh, yeah, don't worry about it." And it's like, now, even now for our video production business, we haven't hired anybody because we've been of the mentality. It's like we're not going to pay somebody $10 an hour. It's not going to happen. We want to pay
yeah,
somebody something that we would feel proud for us to earn. You know, if I'm not happy making 10 an hour, I'm not going to tell somebody come do it for 10. You know, so when the budgets start getting to the point where we start paying people what we would want to get, then that's when we start bringing people in. But it's hard to be at this level, but I enjoy the process. I enjoy being able to create. And when I'm not, pulling people in because I'm worried about wasting their time, I like doing stuff and not even worrying about the numbers. And I'm ready for it. I got 6 songs done. I'm gonna do at least 10, and I'm gonna put it out.
nice.
And if it does nothing, it does nothing. If it does something, that's cool too. But I learned time management wise that I have to stay ahead of my projects, because when I was doing just enough to stay on time was nowhere near enough. I always felt the
Yeah,
stress. I couldn't get in the creative space to write my best work because I'm always worried about, well, I got to hurry up and get to this project because it's coming up and I got a due date coming for this. And I have to stay ahead of time. Like, are you finding that same situation where you got to stay ahead in terms of managing the life with the kids, your wife, and work? Like, how are you doing with the workload you have now?
yeah, man. That's the thing, bro. I have to basically stay ahead. Um, even with my own music, one of the strategies that I used was that I did some live arrangements from some of my songs.
Mm,
So I had them there, and basically what I did for the month of December, because the song that I'm releasing now was the one I was supposed to release in December, and it's February. You see what I'm saying?
okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So what I did was I just took one of those live arrangements from the vault, that I had there, thinking in advance just in case, just have some wiggle room if I need it. Because the problem is that you stop the consistency, and the platforms are helping you at all nowadays.
Yeah.
Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, all those things. It doesn't matter if you have a million followers. That 1 million followers is not going to see that post, even if they follow you. They're basing everything on engagement and what
Hmm.
people are engaging with. So even if somebody follows you and they haven't engaged in your profile or in your pictures or in whatever you put out, if they haven't engaged into it, they're not going to be shown it. It's not going to be in their priority list, in their feed. So even if you have 10,000, 20,000, or whatever amount of people that you may have, if you're not putting out continuously, like continuous content, they don't engage with it. Because they're not engaging with it, Instagram, Facebook, and all those platforms are saying they're not interested in your stuff,
Yeah.
so they won't show it to them. So you have to maintain the rhythm of putting stuff out so that people can engage, people can discover it, even the same people that follow you. And it's crazy. In order for when you do put out that single, when you do put out, your project, people can actually, it's there for them to see it. Because if
Right.
not, you're gonna miss out you're gonna miss out even on the people that do follow you to actually see and engage your content. It's crazy. Before it wasn't like that,
Hmm.
but they have changed the algorithm so much, and that's the reason why. Like, I try to stay ahead. I try to have some projects on deck just to kind of be fillers,
Hmm.
or remakes. So what I did was I was getting a little bit of traction with Brazil on my Spotify. I saw a lot of people from Brazil was listening to my music, so I went ahead and reached out to Brazilian artists. And what I did was like, yo, this is the live instrument. Jump on it,
Mm,
if you like it. He jumped on it. I released it. I kept my old verse because I didn't even have the time to re-record a new verse. Kept my
right.
old verse. I put it out there. It did pretty good. My Spotify monthly listeners went up for went up like 1,000 more listeners after
Mm,
that. So there's increments, small increments, and now I'm gonna put out the EP. So I'm pasting myself because
right.
the EP is kind of behind. So now I'm gonna release this song this month that I was supposed to release in December. Um, but I released the live instrument, which is about to go for it's probably like 4 or 5 weeks now
Okay.
since I released it. So that's longer than what I would like in order to put something else out. But because I'm putting out the EP, I'm comfortable with that. Because once I put out this single, I'm going to announce the EP, and I'm going to be putting out promotional materials for the EP. So when it does come out, I can have the engagement that I'm looking for.
We gotta do some when the time comes, we gotta do like some multicam like interview stuff, man. We gotta like line up schedules and get like 2-3 cams on you, and you talk about the album
Bruh.
and do like the whole album feature, and you explain the inspiration and the process and start cutting angles and stuff. We gotta do that, man.
Yeah, man, I'm definitely down for that. That's something that I actually want to do. It's in the list of content that I want to create.
Because that's
Because I really
usually
want
that's
to
like
talk about
the
it, bro.
music videos. The music videos are time consuming like crazy. But for
Yeah,
sure, the marketing content where it's like, okay, so this is what this song meant to me, and this was my process and stuff like that. That's easy. We can knock that out fast, man. We got to get together, light that up nice, and do that. And
yeah,
it's
man.
always about it being consistent with the content. It's like you said from the very beginning. You're talking about one video is not enough, one song's not going to be enough, one piece of art is not going to be enough. Anything is not going to be enough. If you want to get better and if you want to sell something, there has to be consistency. But
Yeah,
real quick, I want to nerd out with you for like 5 minutes, and I'm gonna let you go. What
yeah,
camera are you looking forward to? What camera are you looking forward to? What's exciting now with
man,
cameras?
man. I think the Sony A7S III is crazy right now.
So
I think it's
you would go to that from the Black Magic?
no, no,
Oh,
no,
okay.
no, no. What I'm
Oh,
saying is, it's exciting. It's exciting to me what they're doing. You
okay.
know, right now I'm waiting for Black Magic to because Black Magic is tighter than Apple when it comes to their releases. There's
Mm.
like no rumors,
Yeah, no
no
leaks.
leaks,
Yeah, yeah,
no nothing, you know. But I'm excited just to see what I'm excited with the Komodo the Komodo came out.
yeah.
I'm excited the Sony that came out. Now Canon came out with a crazy camera, hybrid. When it comes to like cinema and also photography, and they did a good job combining them
Mm-hmm.
both.
Mm-hmm.
The autofocus game is crazy for small teams like ours.
Mm-hmm.
Where we don't have a lot of people to do follow focus and pulling focus and all that stuff, which is a higher budget because we need to get the wireless follow focus. We need to get a whole bunch of more equipment.
You need another person. That's the thing. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah,
It's like I can
yeah,
go by to tilt the nucleus. I can't go
yeah,
get another person to be standing with me. Like,
yeah. So when it comes to the technology, bro, I'm super excited. I mean, when it comes to me, having the Pocket 6K, I still feel I could still push that camera.
mm-hmm.
I can still get great quality out of it. I don't feel like I have the need to change it right now. But I'm waiting for that 16 stops of dynamic range, 16-bit color space for less than $10,000. That's what I'm waiting for. That's what I'm waiting for,
He gonna
man.
be waiting a while. He gonna be waiting a while.
Bro. Hey, bro. I mean, you have Blackmagic put their 12K at five grand.
Nah, this is true. This is true. I wish it was
So,
smaller. They need to work on something smaller. Do
bro, but
something with those specs smaller.
I do like that form factor though, bro. Like this one doesn't have this one has the battery, but it's basically the same size. But bro, just like handheld, look how steady that is.
Yeah.
Handheld because of the weight. So weight is not bad, because it's like I can make this look like almost like a gimbal because it's so heavy with the movements.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
I do get it when it comes to putting it on a gimbal. You would need a bigger gimbal. You would probably need a easy rig, so it won't
Yeah,
strain so much.
I got a Zhiyun June, however you pronounce that, Crane
Yeah,
3S.
yeah,
So it's
yeah,
built to handle like 14 pounds, I think, if I remember right. And it
yeah,
balances the Komodo fine. I put the red Komodo on there, 2 batteries. I had a monitor on a magic arm coming off the side of the gimbal. It's just crazy heavy. And for the first time, I'm like, I might have to get a vest and one of those arms that come out the side. They got one called like the Thanos X or something like that.
yeah,
It's like the arm that comes out. It's like $2,000. And I'm like, yeah, that's a lot to rig up. But if it means me doing my job more efficiently and being able to do those shoots for longer, then it is what it is. I'm just gonna look like a robot at the shoots. It don't matter. Like some of it looks
yeah,
cool.
man.
It's just,
Oh
it's
yeah,
funny. Back to the budgets. It's just It's more of a thing where we're like a sense of like embarrassment. It's like if I know a video isn't that serious, like you're exaggerating now, you're bringing out the whole vest and stuff like that. But it's like
Like,
for for this particular rig I got, I'm gonna need these things, even if it is a quick video that's maybe smaller budget. I got a heavy camera
yeah,
now. I
man.
got it,
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean,
and
it does a world of difference. And
I love the
when you're
color
shooting,
science.
like, bro, I mean, the red color science is nice. I like it.
I never saw skin look like that, especially coming from Panasonic, which I tell people still to this day, if you have a small budget, go get a GH5. Even right now, go get a
Yeah,
GH5. That is the camera you need to start with. You are going to
yeah.
get great image. People complain about the low light. Yeah, the low light's not awesome, but you know what? Sometimes people expect these cameras to do magic. Like us,
And
we
at
would
the
sit
end of the
in a
day,
cave.
one of the things that I've learned is that if you're really doing cinema, you need lights. You need
Oh yeah.
external lighting. It doesn't matter how great your camera is. Like, there's no way like you're gonna get nice cinematic image without lighting. So people that's the thing. I think there's a big difference with videographers and cinematographers, and I feel like the terms have been confused a lot. People see you with a camera, they think you're a videographer. And videographer are just people that capture moments. It doesn't matter if like right now, just capture this moment. Boom.
Mhm.
A cinematographer is gonna a cinematographer is gonna tell a story with his image. He's gonna light it up. He's gonna make a mood with
Mhm.
the image. He's gonna try to, work with colors. What's the color scheme that we're gonna go for? Are you sad? Let's do the lighting this type. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a big difference. So when it comes to like videography, if all you're doing is just videos and capturing moments like parties and stuff like that, and by all means, get something that you know. But if you're really going for that cinematic style, then you're gonna need lighting. You're gonna need something that records raw, something that you could push and mess with the colors. So
Lights to me reminds you of in the audio world where when I started audio, the idea was let me get the most expensive microphone and the best software. When I got more mature and understanding of the way things work, it's like, no, go grab the microphone, a modest microphone. You need to dump your budget into treating your room. You need to get
yeah,
the sound in your room to sound right. And light to me is the same way in videography and cinematography and photography. All of it is you can get your iPhone. If you invest in
yeah,
some great lights and you know how to light a person and shape that light and set the mood, it's gonna look amazing. And people, it's been proven over and over and over when people are doing camera shootouts and tell me which one was the Black Magic and tell me which one was the iPhone 10 Pro.
yeah,
If you light it right, it's hard to tell the difference. It's very hard. The only time I've been able to tell the difference for real, like to me night and day, and it's because I've kind of trained my eye for it now, is when something is shot on a DSLR versus like a cinema camera, where it has that digital film look versus that's that too sharp of an image that you get from like a DSLR
yeah,
or mirrorless. It looks, you can
yeah,
tell when you see it if you've done it long enough that looks like digitally sharpened. It doesn't look natural. And then you go to like the
yeah,
red, and you know what's funny to like the untrained eye that doesn't understand it. You can see a red and be like, yo, that's not as sharp. And it's like it's not that it's not as sharp. The color, it looks what your eye sees. You're so used to seeing an image cranked to 100% sharpness that when you see something that looks
yeah,
natural, it's kind of shocking at first. But I love the
yeah,
fact that skin looks like skin. It looks like the first time I saw like myself on the red camera, I was like, wow, like that looks the way my eye sees it. It doesn't look like it has a
yeah,
LUT on it. It doesn't look like I the way I see it, and this is from difference between 8, 10, and 12-bit color and all that. It's like I see it like if you took a 5-pack crayon box or whatever, like it only has 10 crayons or whatever in a 10-pack, and then you go to like a 32-pack. All those shades of color, those variations, and the roll
yeah,
off.
man.
It's like for the first time we did like our own internal testing with a GH5 and the red Komodo side by side, and highlights on the GH5, it would be like just a white color. It would make my skin white. But then on the Komodo, you see that I'm lit, but my skin doesn't look white. My actual skin tone just look a little brighter, and then it gets softer as it goes into the shadows. Versus anytime you put like a DSLR or mirrorless, that color is just boom, bright white light. Even if it's we got the aperture lights,
Yeah,
and they're very nice. And we used to love our image, and I still do. But when I compare it, I'm like, man, like it looks artificially lit. It looks fine. Most people don't know, but when you do it day to day, it's like, nah, I want something that we lit it, we know it's lit, but the viewer doesn't know that that's a light that's sitting right there next to it. They don't know. They just see a person that's easy to see in the scene. So that's I'm excited to learn more about this camera. I don't know anywhere near enough. We got some of these cameras and we got to practice way more. It's weird going from a GH5 that for real looks like a drone when you got a handheld. It's got internal stabilization, and then with a lens stabilization, it's great handheld shots. And then you go to something with no stabilization at all, and seeing that, that jitters and stuff, it's like, to get used to that. So it changes the way you hold it, the way you move. Too. You're not walking around the room with them like we used to.
No, you got to be a ninja.
Yeah, super ninja. We were being ninjas with the gimbals too. Like that's something we always laugh at people with gimbals. It's like, yo, you still gotta walk. Just because you got a gimbal doesn't mean you walk like a dummy. You don't just hop up and down. There's still a walk to it and a smoothness. But it's exciting. I could talk to you forever about this stuff. We gotta work on like a little project or something. Do something quick and easy and get creative together. I'm glad we get to. I'm glad that life brought us full circle, man. We did a lot of work together in the beginning. Life took us different ways, and then we come back, man. And it's great. It's funny. To me, it doesn't feel any different. It feels like the old days, man. I'm glad. I'm happy to to be around you, and I'm happy to get some of your knowledge and get some, because you've gotten further in a lot of ways in a lot of different things, and I like being able to avoid some of the headaches. There's a lot of stuff I'm gonna learn from you, so I appreciate you, man.
Nah, I appreciate you too, brother. Yeah,
man. Until next time, man. We worked it out.
Man. Thank you.
Man. We got to do it again.
Yeah, man. And thank you for the invite, man. I enjoyed it. I hope it's not the last time.
It won't be, man.